Let's take a look. Lots of good options here. We've seen three main strategies really coming out. We've seen the split pushing strategy, the early lane dominant strategy, and the stall with wave clear strategy. So we'll have to see what these teams are looking for, what they're going to go for.
And we instantly see the Ziggs for the wave clear strategy being banned out.
Yeah, Ziggs can actually even flex because a lot of times teams will pick Ziggs with the intent of taking down some turrets. The Poppy ban, interesting. We've seen Poppy ban a few times. It feels like every single time it comes up, it's because there's somebody on the enemy team who plays Poppy specifically. It can be a very annoying counter pick depending on what type of champions you want to play.
Similar so with the Akali. The Akali has been picked by a couple of players, and it seems more of a target ban so far in the tournament. And we get the Nasus ban, which is becoming a very regular ban. Backing up the Qs, using the ultimate just to make sure that you have the even shorter cooldown. And the Trundle ban as well. Two of the highest presence in the tournament so far.
And the Aurelia ban. Okay, so I'll hold my breath real quick. I'll wait for the draft to get a little bit further in, but Aurelia ban, certainly an interesting decision.
After the last game, you can definitely see the strengths of the Aurelia pick. If it gets ahead, it can steamroll and can take the Tux very quickly.
And with the Volibear first pick coming in, I guess now is the time for me to say what I was thinking. The main reason why you ban Aurelia is if you're thinking about picking up that Yorick that slipped through the draft undetected. Usually Aurelia, a fantastic Yorick counter pick, but now that the Aurelia is down, maybe feeling more confident to grab that one. But it seems like they won't. Gonna go for the Fiora and the Gnar instead.
Very split push focus so far from the red side. Meanwhile, the Volibear able to disable the turrets, which does allow for turret dives that may not be as appealing without the Volibear. And they pick up the Mordekaiser as well. There's a lot of 1v1 ability on the blue side of the draft so far.
Yeah, we're going to have a whole lot of fist fighting. I see 4 top laners coming out, but the Malzahar last pick, good stalling champion, can also be good against champions with various levels of dashes. Both Fiora and Gnar are fairly mobile, so maybe the Malzahar to counter both of them.
Red team are lacking good wave clear at this point, so they might lock in a mage of their own.
Sure, but blue team might be lacking some physical damage. I see 3 AP champions on that side.
Is this the second, or have you seen any more Shyvanas since?
I believe this is the second Shyvana, and also, if I had to guess, I believe this is going to be Nell playing the Shyvana. I believe the Shyvana is a Nell classic from some of our test games.
And it'd be interesting to see if the Shyvana runs Ignite again. Ignite? Or Smite. The Smite has seemed like it is rising up in priority slowly throughout the tournament, be it through the use of Unsealed Spellbook or just by itself. But we still are yet to see anyone use the item from it.
And the prediction is out. Anybody who wishes to gamble away their channel points can feel free to do so now. Again, maybe a little bit of a risky one to put your channel points on, considering that we don't know the ranks of 4 of these players, hailing from different regions with level 15 and lower accounts.
Do you think this is going to be a AP or AD Shyvana game?
You know, I think AD Shyvana is a little bit stronger in the current meta. However, with Gnar and Fiora being picked up, part of me thinks that the Shyvana might just go AP in order to ensure that they have a decent damage split. And I could also say something similar about the Volibear. I'm wondering if the Volibear might lean towards more of an AD build. We see Volibears do that sometimes to try to balance out that damage profile a little bit more.
I will say the red side is probably going to be able to take quite a lot of turrets this game, especially if they get any form of advantage. But It is interesting to see that even with the two players, they are very confident to pick in these very skill expressive champions.
Yeah, and I believe that the Fiora is going to go to Gossi Arson. That was something that she played a lot during our test matches. So, Twisted Trinity bringing out some known variables, picks that they have experience on for sure, that they have experience on in this format specifically. So, we'll see if that experience comes into play at all, or if the three mysterious challengers will just be too much of a force to handle.
It'd also be interesting to see if blue team ever want to group up together, or if they are just going to try and stay in their own lanes with the picks that they have drafted.
I mean, it's looking like an own lane type of draft. Volibear, great sign laner. Mordekaiser loves those 1v1s. And then Malzahar, whichever lane you want to put him in, he can probably just stalemate that lane indefinitely.
But that does also play into Fiora and Gnar, who can very well win any 1v1 with good enough skill expression.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see who's going to be matching up against the Malzahar. I can't imagine that anybody would quite want to do that. The only champion I can think of who might be decent at it at all would be the Shyvana. If they want to max E, they could probably make it work. Just E from range. But other than that, whoever ends up against Malzahar, I think they're going to be pretty unhappy. I mean, I guess you could see a world in theory where if Fiora plays well enough, she could be fine. But I would not want to be the Fiora in that matchup normally.
You'd have to get very far ahead very quickly. Now we do see Grasp coming out on Fiora. That does mean the Fiora will be having a bit more tankiness than if she had Conqueror later on into the game.
Yeah, Grasp is also oftentimes taken because it's a very strong landing rune. You get a lot of pressure level 1, especially since the Fiora Q can proc it, so if the enemy top laner walks up too far at all, getting hit with the Grasp can be a much bigger chunk of damage than what you would expect.
Seems like the Shyvana is going top lane into the Mordekaiser, Fiora into Volibear, and the Gnar is going into the Malzahar, which is very expected to go into the mid lane due to the shortness of the lane.
It looks like we're going to see 3 demolishes, one from the Volibear, one from the Shyvana, and one from the Fiora. Mordekaiser did take green runes, but is opting for a Revitalize setup instead. And it seems like Twisted Trinity, not very happy with their lane matchups. They're going to go for the double reset and try to swap that up a bit. Meanwhile, they're going to be happy with Gnar into the Malzahar. I suppose that because Gnar has some range, they're thinking that he would have the best likelihood. But yeah, Twisted Trinity going to come out, force the swap. They want to get the Fiora into the Mord and the Shyvana into the Volibear.
It does seem reasonable that the Shyvana should switch into the Volibear here. And I also do like that it is the Gnar going into the Malzahar. Just having any form of range will be able to help out at least a little bit from denying the poke coming down. But you also have the health that you get back when you go into Mega Gnar form, so there is a bit of sustain available to the Gnar.
Also possibly important to note is that this Shyvana decided to go for Ghost TP instead of Ignite. A little bit more of a standard setup in my opinion.
Has much less risks than the Smite does, but the Smite, you do that on the Smite upside at the same time. Mordekaiser is able to hit level 1 first, while the Fiora chooses to go for the fight, levels up midway through the fight. Isn't able to get the critical strike though.
Yeah, I couldn't find that vital. Maybe needed to try to flash for it, but an unlucky first blood. Lxs Latinx, the Mordekaiser will be happy to take that one. However, maybe the Mordekaiser could be suffering here. Got the first blood, but the wave is not in a good spot. If Fiora can stop this from crashing, the Mordekaiser could be stuck here for a bit.
We might be able to use the level advantage to bully out the Fiora and be able to get a successful crash.
Yeah, we'll be able to get that crash, so we can look for a reset here. Choosing to stick around, it seems like.
Not sure if that is the greatest decision from the Mordekaiser, as this lane might just stagnate out now near the Fiora's turret. It seems the Volibear is in a very similar position. We do find another all-in from the Fiora, but at this point in the game, there's not too much threat. He's able to find the Vital Strikes consistently this time, but the Mordekaiser is slowly trickling down that health bar. Meanwhile, on the bot side of the map, you got two beefcakes hitting into each other, with the lane just stalling out in front of the turret. Fiora goes for another trade, is forced to flash out.
Yeah, that Vital in a little bit of an uncomfortable spot. Fiora didn't really feel comfortable necessarily
Well,
trying to flash
cube,
for it.
It stands in the way.
Yeah, just too aggressive from the Fiora. I will say at this point, it is probably likely that unfortunately we do not have any secret challenger players. It seems like fairly standard level of play that we've been seeing.
Sadly, would have been interesting to see if there was a challenger player in here. We do have some Masters players. In the tournament.
Yeah. And in fact, Decimate said that they peaked Grandmasters, so I guess that's the ceiling of the tournament is GM.
So far, the Gnar is finding it perfectly reasonable to be able to CS into this Malzahar, and actually hasn't really seen any push into his turret yet.
Yeah, maybe a questionable decision from the Malzahar. They opted to go for the tier first instead of the Doran's Ring, so a lot less laning power. Maybe they could have found a bigger advantage against the Gnar had they chosen to go for that item instead.
It does mean that the Malzahar can work towards all items much quicker though in the early phase of the game.
Sure, but you have to imagine that if they went Doran's Ring, they could have 40, 45 CS right now instead of the 29 that they currently have.
Gnar does find the all-in after getting the Mega Gnar, but it's just a quick trade, use of ultimate.
Good damage, got that last little Q off.
And yet again we see another Fiora trade onto the Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser does have ultimate and is probably going to secure this kill. One level advantage as well by hitting level 6 first.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see either some kind of lane swap or some kind of assistance for the Fiora, otherwise the Mordekaiser is gonna get out of hand. Why does they say that Shyvana going to run to the top lane? Yeah. Malzahar does have ult, but does not have the mana to use it, so if Gnar wanted to look for an opportunity to maybe go for a dive or an aggressive trade under turret, this would be the window.
He wouldn't have ult even if he does get into Mega Gnar though, so it would be still a little bit risky. Especially with that spell shield available for the Malzahar. At this point, it might not even be advantageous for the Fiora to go into the Volibear, but you gotta do something and switch it up because clearly the matchup isn't working in their favor right now.
Yeah, now we did see one time earlier today, I believe it was Kingsman versus Credits and Debits. Credits and Debits managed to get an Aatrox fairly fed, but the Kingsmen responded with a series of rotations and they overloaded on the side of the fed member and were able to get themselves back into the game, and they ended up taking the game even against the Aatrox who started 1 and 3, or not 1 3.
Fiora does pop ultimate and gets a massive trade onto the Volibear, but it doesn't find any kill pressure.
Yeah, there wasn't going to be any kill
flash,
pressure no matter what because Volibear has both flash and ult.
And there's already halfway through the lane as well, so there's not much lane to run down the Volibear either. The Volibear gets out with ult and flash still available as well. But it's good to see that the Fiora can get some positive trades into the Volibear matchup. And looking at the CS, red team isn't actually behind. If anything, they're ahead, and it's just the kill gold advantage. It's only giving them 300 gold advantage right now.
Yeah, the main issue though isn't really the average gold lead. It's more so just, can anybody match the Mordekaiser? Because it can be hard to overload on the same side of the map as a Mordekaiser. He has the ultimate to turn any kind of gank into a 1v1. So we'll just have to see what the response is. Can the Shyvana continue to neutralize this lane, or are they going to have to come up with another game plan?
That does seem to be roaming, but it might just be for the Scuttle Crab. Mordekaiser does roam down in turn, and has ult available, so the Gnar might be at risk. With the Malzahar coming up from below as well, the ultimate comes out, Mordekaiser does get the grass back, but the Gnar is able to get away, and should heal up slightly with Mega Gnar as well.
Yeah, and that was Malzahar's flash ult.
It was interesting to see that the Gnar was trying to solo Void Grubs. That does mean that Mordekaiser should be able to secure the first, but with the Gnar transforming, he's got most of his health bar back, but the Shyvana seems more interested in the turret, so the Gnar is just sticking around.
Yeah, it seems like Gnar is just trying to be pesky. If the longer it takes for blue side to take these grubs, the more time Shyvana gets with the turret, and Shyvana can take turrets very fast. That Q auto reset can do lots of damage very quickly.
Should be able to get a minimum of 2 plates here, but has also got a massive wave stacked up as well. As Mordekaiser now by himself, it's going to take a bit longer, but should be able to get back before the turret takes any more plates.
Yeah, and Mordekaiser was up about 1,000 gold maybe a minute ago, but with that decision to give over the plates and lose the wave, the Shyvana has come within striking distance, only about 500 gold behind now individually.
Mord will use TP back into the lane, even though the wave is going into the enemy's turret here.
I wonder if Mord knows that you can TP to minions now.
Yeah, it is a bit interesting to see that he teleported to turret when he has to walk quite a far distance down the lane. He will get some time on the turret before Shyvana gets there, but it only secures him the 1 plate.
Now, of course, I can say that. Ooh, nice little parry there. I can say that Mordekaiser and Shyvana are fairly close in gold, but the reality is that Mordekaiser is significantly stronger than Shyvana at the moment because Rylai's being a very cheap item, Mordekaiser is sitting on a very, very powerful item spike. Until Shyvana finishes what looks to be a Trinity force, she won't really be able to fight back.
The Shyvana has done a decent job at neutralizing the lane, however, so should be able to get to that point safely. Meanwhile, on the bot side of the map, the Fiora has found it very easy to match into this Volibear and has slowly started to claw back a little bit of the gold, but he fell behind.
Yeah, it seems like the Shyvana Fiora swap was a very good idea.
Mordekaiser does pop ultimate, and the Shyvana can't get back to the turret, might just be trapped in here, and with that bonk coming down, the Mordekaiser gets yet another kill.
Yeah, Ghost popped as well. That's what I was talking about, is even though the gold might be close to even, that Rylai's, it's a really strong power spike. The Ghost wasn't enough. Mordekaiser was able to use the slow from the Rylai's to land his Qs. And now we'll get some time on the turret too. Shyvana can't TP back for another 8 seconds.
It is interesting to see that this Gnar is still holding a minor CS advantage from the early game. Partly because the Malzahar stuck around for an extremely long time on very low mana. TP does come back available for the Malzahar, so we might see him back very soon. Some good trades coming out for the Fiora, but no real pressure available to her.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of nerves coming out from the Fiora in those early levels, but now she feels like she's playing a lot more freely, landing a lot more vitals.
Interesting to see that the Shyvana is taking some camps to get some farms safely while the Mordekaiser is in the middle of the lane rather than risking it.
Yeah, every little bit of gold counts.
So far, this is one of the slower games when it comes in terms of the turrets being taken. Give it roughly 30 more seconds and we're seeing games already ended at this point in time.
Yeah, but again, the rate that these games can end can be shocking. I mean, like, we're gonna pass 14 minutes, and then all of a sudden, some of these turrets that only have a few plates left, like both the top lane turrets, that mid tier 1 for blue side, any of these turrets can go down in the blink of an eye after 14 minutes, and one more ace and the game just ends, so...
No teams seem interested in the Drake as well at this point in the game. Especially with the feat of strength being picked up from blue side due to the first blood and taking up the void, getting that first step to the void groups. They don't seem too interested in finishing it off, and red team has no progress yet, so seems like there isn't a priority for either of the teams.
Yeah, and right as you say that, the Mordekaiser and the Malzahar are moving over. Gnar and Shyvana are aware though, they might try to fight this. Could be scary into, again, the Rylai's Mordekaiser being very strong. Getting 6 grubs here would be massive for them. Now they have those the little void mites to push with them. It can be very, very frustrating in a format like this. Once you have those void mites, you can kind of just start to run it down the lane with 3 people, and then you'll always have that pushing power to try to get at least a good chunk of damage on the turrets.
Gnar and Shyvana do get a bit of time on the turrets, and with the plating falling off, that does mean that the turret goes down quick enough for the Shyvana to get the turret. You do miss out on the plating from the gold, but you do get the gold from the turret, and turrets just being down in the first place makes the lanes longer and gives you a chance of getting to the inhibitor, so...
Now I will say this, because Lxs Latinx managed to pick up that first blood, and both sets of void grubs, if they take this dragon, that will automatically give them the feat of strength. So usually dragon's not something you want to go for, but this time around I think would be nice to pick up if they can find a window to do it without losing too much. And
with the Malzahar having the enemies, they still will be able to take it relatively quickly, and it won't be too much of a time investment.
And now this is pretty nice. Shyvana managed to pick up the Trinity Force, so she can finally fight back a little bit. Mordekaiser sitting on 2,200 gold and really needs to get this base off. Looks like he will, so that's good for him.
Yeah, the gold lead has expanded and ballooned for the Mordekaiser recently. Rylai's advantage has very much been used effectively. The Fiora is starting to accrue a very stable CS lead over the Volibear, which is keeping the gold lead from expanding team-wise.
Yeah, you have to imagine what this game would have looked like if the Fiora and the Shyvana chose to stay with their original matchups. Because if you remember correctly, they went for those matchups, the Fiora and the Volibear and Shyvana and Mordekaiser. Saw it, opted out of them, reset. So it makes you wonder, if they had stuck with the way that it was initially going to go, how different would this game be?
Gnar is finding a lot of bad damage trades recently in the mid lane. The Malzahar doesn't really have a lot of mana to spare, so he's got to make sure he gets every ability to count. Nice damage trade from the Shyvana as well, onto the Mordekaiser though.
Yeah, Trinity Force, really strong power spike for Shyvana. She's going to go for it, ghosting in.
The Mordekaiser does get that shielding though, but the Shyvana is able to find the kill, even through the shielding.
Yeah, just DPS checks him. This is probably the time that Mordekaiser is going to be the weakest. He has the gold lead right now, but until he finishes that Leandries...
Fiora takes a lot of damage under the turret. Flash into the ult is buffered out by the Fiora, but that still won't be enough to get away from the Volibear.
Yeah, maybe that ult coming down a little bit slower. If she popped it right away, maybe could have had the healing to survive that.
Shyvana does rotate into the Volibear now, but who is flashless and ultless.
Yeah, Shyvana has ult again.
They're able to get the Volibear, but then the TP comes in, so the Shyvana's now going to have to run away. Malzahar is now also coming potentially down the road, but decides to back out. Shyvana might be able to get away from this. But the Mordekaiser does flash in, pops the pops. The Shyvana does go down in the end as
your
well.
tongue got a little bit tied there, huh?
I did think, yeah. Sorry about that.
Professional caster. Yeah, so they're gonna go for the dragon here. This will mean if they take this will be the feat of strength that they needed. Looks like Gnar and Fiora are interested in contesting.
Pinch the Gnar. the Gnar backs off, the Fury won't be here in time, so that will be the feats of strength for the blue team.
Yeah, there's actually a little bit of stats and movement speed on their boots are going to be nice, and then of course once they finish their second legendary item, if they choose to upgrade their boots, they'll be able to have access to a big power spike.
The Fury should be able to get this bot tower now. No one is there to respond with them all going top.
Yeah, it's hard to take objectives without giving up pressure somewhere. And Gnar with the TP man might also even be able to take this mid turret. Depends on how fast he can shove that wave. Interestingly, it seems like Nell maybe doesn't know about the blood roses. Walked past like 4 of them there.
Malzahar does get to mid lane in time.
Yeah, did end up
if you
taking
also
the
hit
roses.
Ravenous Hydra Spike for the Fiora might also be a way to finally look into the volley bear, but the volley bear has already just got a massive trade on the Fiora, but doesn't go for the all-in.
Yeah, Thunder Sky seems to be big power spike for the volley bear.
Now using the ultimate to try and clear the wave, but with the minions from the Malzahar, the wave is big enough to still take the turret.
I think the Gnar was really looking for the Malzahar there and just couldn't find it. Wow, look at this. Shyvana actually has a level advantage over the Mordekaiser. A little bit surprising to see that. Maybe could look to take a fight. Because the Mordekaiser still has yet to finish that Leandries, so Shyvana wanted to look for a window to fight. Level up, theoretical item advantage. This could be the window.
And very well Malby. I'm tongue twisting badly. Shyvana gets a horrible trade off camera though.
Yeah, but not necessarily. Got the Mordekaiser ult burned.
Let's find a good initial trade onto the Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser is sat in the wave, but it does seem like the Mordekaiser should be able to win out with the shielding.
Yeah, that's
Malzahar
pretty
has
close.
rotated upwards the Gnar, but the Gnar does get away before the Malzahar finds any intrigue with the ultimate. And that should be top tier 1 going down.
Yeah, Shyvana actually could buy the Ravenous Hydra right now. If she sold the door and she'll have the gold for it. Let's see if she goes for it.
Fiora does pop ultimate onto the volley bear. Will take a lot of work to get the kill, but the lane is very much long enough. Oliver does have ult in kind though.
Yeah, a lot of
Easy just to
sustain
walk
for the
away
volley
from
bear
it.
too.
The health bar is increasing much faster than the Fiora's health bar is going down at this point. The ult might not even be needed, but it's used to cap close. Flash isn't available though. And the slow doesn't come down, but the speed boost does come in. Gnar is rotating in, will be allowed to get the Fiora out of there safely. But ult for ult trade in the end. Meanwhile, the Howard is taken on the top side of the map because of the Gnar having to come down and rotate to keep the Fiora alive.
Still kind of crazy that there's only a 1k gold lead separating these two teams. To me, it kind of feels like blue team should be much further in the lead at this point.
Especially with the CS onto the Malzahar starting to grow rapidly in this middle phase of the game.
And Gnar going for the AP attack speed build. This is a very, very old build. I think the last time I saw this was maybe in season 8 or 9.
Shyvana is going mid and spots out the Mordekaiser, so turns away. With that Rift Power, they could just use it mid with the mid turret already being half. They will give time for the Fiora to take some damage off the turret, but the TP will come in, which will probably deny the turret from being taken. And the Howard does come down in mid. Fiora won't be able to come in and help. There's a huge wave stacked up of Malzahar minions as well. So Shyvana's going to potentially have to be here as well to defend this. With the drift coming in as well, Mordekaiser probably has enough damage to get through. Nice ult from the Gnar coming in. Malzahar pops it up but counters it. Shyvana goes onto the Mordekaiser, but the Mordekaiser is able to find the flash kill onto the Shyvana and also then finds the Gnar. The turret's going down. Fiora is here, but probably isn't going to be able to 1v2. Malzahar focuses onto the inhibitor. Fiora does find multiple of the vitals though, but goes down before finding the last two.
Yeah, just the Rift Herald front door winning out on that extended 2v3.